What is up, everybody? It's the Inhuman one here with part 3 of the ultimate 100% walkthrough for the Lies of P Overture DLC. And in today's episode, we're going to be covering the Carnival, as you can see, which is right behind me. There are going to be a lot of puppet-based enemies, so we're going to want to focus on having the proper equipment for said puppets. So of course, we're going to have the electric coil. We're also going to have anything that can allow us to deal increased damage against puppets, so the Puppet Destroyer's Amulet is an excellent choice. Aside from that, there is a single enemy that is going to be quite difficult that deals tons of fire damage, so you can switch out to that if you feel like that's going to be an issue. There's absolutely no shame in doing that at all. So I would prepare for that in the event that he does quite a bit of damage to us. We'll be somewhat prepared. Aside from that, we do want to have the Perfection Grindstone, which is going to keep us pretty much safe in that encounter unless the fight draws on a bit too long. And then aside from that, we do have the Puppet String Legion Arm, which is going to allow us to close the distance, close the gaps in between us and other enemies. So that's essentially it for the costume. We're just going with this outfit here, which I believe to be something that belongs to Romeo, actually. So more on that in terms of a lore a little bit later. But anyways, we are going to first introduce ourselves to Rosara, and she'll give us a little bit of a side quest we're going to be completing. This will span the length of the DLC, actually, so let's go ahead and have a chat with her.
Hello. Rosara, please. I will wait for...
She's essentially going to be stating that she lost her shoes when she escaped from a bird cage. More on that a bit later. So we're going to ask her about her lost shoes so she can finish up her dialogue here, and then state or ask why she wants to be free.
I want to go ballet.
Now, all we're going to do from this point forward is we're going to press onward, and we've essentially already agreed to help her locate her shoes. So we're going to open up this carnival gate here. And you have to forgive me for the commentary, guys. I have had a procedure done on my mouth, and it is numb and partially still numb and very, very sore, so I apologize. I'm quite happy. It's just late at night, and I'm in a little bit of pain, so... Alright, so first things first, here is the carnival. There's a little bit of a pretty simple layout. You have this area here that's going to connect to a shortcut and a kind of mini game that we can look at. There's a mini game here. All of these kind of knockdown games are actual carnival games you can participate in, and I'll show you kind of the best ways to beat these without having to use up all of your resources. And aside from that, you can progress forward towards this area, but you do have a little bit of a mini boss, and then we have an area over here that's going to lead to a secret that we can open at some point, and then this lower section here. So there's quite a bit to explore. We'll be doing a little bit of everything, but as per usual, we're going to begin by going left first. So we can go ahead and turn this way and head towards these little guys. I'll tell you a little funny secret about these guys here in just a moment, but what we're going to do is use the puppet string, close the distance, and get in our big hits here. And yes, you can do the R1 if you want for the fatal attack, but it's not necessary. We do get a carnival coin here, which we're going to be using as currency for doing some of the carnival games. There is an enemy right here, so just be prepared for it. If he charges you, like so, let's see, are you going to charge? You can interrupt with the puppet string and then go in for a charged R2 and then R1 if he survives, so make quick work of those guys. This will be a shortcut that's going to open up at the end. That's going to pretty much allow us to get to the end of this area. And here, although it may seem a bit familiar, there are no evil babies this go around. So all we're going to be doing is grabbing this item right here. It's just going to give us a little bit of an announcement, so you can always read these items. And it says, demonstrate your dance moves. So that's precisely what we're going to be doing. First thing we're going to do is activate this mechanical organ by using the coin that we just picked up. So we'll use the first carnival coin here, and then we can watch this. This is going to teach us a new gesture that can be used in a number of different areas. I'm going to show you some of the Easter egg uses as well as the practical uses for this carnival area as well. So, after watching that, we now got some moves. So what we're going to be doing is equipping the gesture and we'll be testing it out here in due time. So there's several locations where you can actually use it to get different results and different items, so it's gonna be nice and fun. The next thing we're gonna do is head this way, grab this item, change to reconnaissance orders. This is just a little bit of lore introducing us to kind of what Marchiona was dealing with and the legendary stalker's path. You can read this. It says, knock down the clowns and claim a prize. It's not lying. Here you even have some sawtooth wheels that you can use. It's just quite difficult to free aim, and you can't lock on to these, right? So if you try and press R3, you can't lock onto them. So there's a number of different things you can do. You can either change your Legion arm to the Icarus and use that, or you have infinite ammo and infinite attempts if you just use your bow. So the Royal Horn bow, although it can be a little crazy with the aiming, you know, you can actually hit everything and you have unlimited ammo, so it's not a bad thing to just do that. Just line up with it, and then of course up and down is going to matter, but left and right will not. So you can be looking this way and still, you'd still hit straight ahead. So again, it's going to take a little bit more time, but you're not going to use any resources this way, so if you want to skip ahead, you can certainly do so. But we're going to be firing away like crazy. The Icarus arm can be somewhat accurate as well. You do kind of have to use the Carlo's head, of course, to aim a little bit, but it's again kind of a numbers game. Just fire off like crazy. Eventually you'll get your shots off, so nothing too crazy, but this is the easiest way and cheapest and most effective way to do it. Once you actually clear out that little knockdown challenge, you can get a quest item. This is a tea set that you can actually give to one of the wandering merchants, and there is no other use for it, so don't be afraid to use it for the intended purpose. There's absolutely no other use for it, and you do need it to trigger the rest of the interactions you can get from those merchants. So here we have a new variant of like the maid puppet. They have a kind of unorthodox style of fighting, so you do want to pull them in with the puppet string, interrupt that, and then go crazy with the charged R2s and R1 spam. If you look over here to the right, you're going to see this door that is marked with the Black Rabbit Brotherhood insignia. This is going to be one of 4 locations you can actually access in the past, in this timeline, and you will need keys in order to do that. So we're going to be obtaining each of those keys in due time. So here we have a little bit of an interesting area. There is going to be a butterfly here. So you may notice that we have this over here first. If Gemini lights up red, you know there's going to be a butterfly. So just be prepared for that at all costs. He's just, of course, trying to go near the explosive barrels, but we're not going to let him. And we're going to go ahead and take him out and get a Legion caliber for our troubles. There's no need to do that, by the way. It's just satisfying. We're going to go left because this does give us a little bit of a vantage point on some of the enemies. Alright. And we'll go under this little bridge here. Take on this enemy. They're really hard to sneak up on, just so you know. There's going to be a second one we can attempt to sneak up on, but she does the same thing. They're quite light on their feet, believe it or not. Alright, so we need to be careful here. This enemy is an elite, so we're going to go ahead and use our Perfection Grindstone. Go in for all the crazy attacks you got here. Finish them off best you can. That was a terrible idea. Terrible, but we got the second block at least. And there you have it. That is an elite enemy. He does respawn though, so just be careful. And once you're done, make sure to grab this second carnival coin over here. And I am going to point out that although this looks like an area that you would eventually come down on or around, you never actually can get past here. This is near the end sequence. And this is an out of bounds area, so don't think that it's some sort of secret you can actually access. You cannot. I just don't want you wasting your time, because trust me, I did. Alright, so here we have a bridge. This is a bridge we're going to be crossing over. You have these puppets here. You cannot shoot them or interact with them. It'll just go right through. They don't seem to have any kind of collision detection. This is the one we can't. She's going to be really difficult to sneak up on, but yeah, we didn't pull it off. No worries. All right. And if you can see here, if you're paying attention, if you look up, you can see this enemy right here. You can reach him from a strange angle, and you do want to go ahead and take him out because he's actually quite annoying. He will ambush you whenever we come up on this area here, and it makes a very simple encounter quite difficult. So we do want to take him out. And now we've come full circle. That's why I love going left in this particular area, because it just kind of circles around perfectly. And now we have another enemy up here. And so as I've mentioned before, you're more than welcome to go back to the Stargazer if you've used a lot of heals. Like, so for whatever reason, if you're just struggling and you did receive a lot of damage, you can go back to the Stargazer. If not, we can just continue forward. And in this area, we're going to go ahead and fight essentially the second Parade Master type boss. Pretty much has the same exact moveset. He's just in a little bit better shape than his predecessor. Or his future self, I should say. There you go. We're going to go for a charged R2. Charged R2, R1. And then once he gets up, we're going to go ahead and heal, do the Fable art, and finish him off. So he's just a glorified enemy. We do get another Carnival coin from him as well. He does not respawn, by the way. So, an enemy that you don't have to concern yourself with after that one encounter. Alright, so now what we can do, there is nothing here. I just love breaking. It's just so satisfying. Souls games, you know this. There are two pathways you can take. You can go up here, we can go straight. We're going to go to the right first, and what we want to do is lock onto this enemy, get within range for the puppet string, go for a full attack here, finish him off, prepare for his attack, puppet string him, charged R2, and then R1. There would have been a third enemy, but we took care of him. Remember this enemy right here? There's no longer an ambush, so we don't have to be worried about taking out or rushing this enemy and being attacked from behind anymore. So you can come over here and grab this item. Gemini's Enhanced Detection does increase the amount of ergo that's dropped from enemies, so it's pretty good to have. You can chat with this kind of carnival dude here, and you can turn in the coin to activate it. All that does is open up the door for us. And this is a fun mini game that we can kind of participate in. And this is actually one of my favorite mini games, aside from the shooting games that you can knock down the clowns. So what we're going to do is we're going to step on this center plate here. It's just a weighted kind of platform. And once we're on it, we want to position ourselves so we can see all of these little circles here. Those circles are going to then eject or like push out little puppets that you can pop. And if there's two variants of them, there's a variant that doesn't glow, you want to hit those, and then there's a variant that glows that explodes. So you don't want to hit those because you'll just hurt yourself. You want to hit as many as possible so that all the lights that are just above us near the on either side of the head of that clown are lit up, and that means you'll do it. So once you do it, you get the prize. So we'll go ahead and begin. What I do is just position myself, and you can roll into them if you roll correctly and position yourself good. If not, just sprint over and hit them with a charged R1. That works too. The ones that are far away are not going to be worth pursuing. So just stay with everything that's close to you if you can. That's okay, that was poor timing on my part, so it happens though. That's alright. Not doing the best here, but that's okay. See if we can make up for it. That was sufficient, so that was enough for us to go ahead and win the prize. What we're going to do is claim our prize, which is a new weapon. This is the Maniac Pinwheel Blade. This is insane. I will give you kind of a little bit of a taste of what it looks like. It's a gigantic, I'll give you the stats as well, motivity based weapon, so it does scale off of motivity, which is our strength kind of equivalent here for Souls-like fans. And what you can do is just by sprinting, if you hold the actual sprint button, this pinwheel will begin to spin, and then it deals even more damage like that. So it's just insane. It has some really cool fable arts as well, but just the visual and the aesthetic of the weapon is by far one of my favorites that I've seen thus far. So it is really, really awesome. The DLC weapons are phenomenal, not only in terms of performance, but also just the way they look and design. It's just so much fun. Okay, so here I honestly do believe this is a good opportunity to go back and heal. There won't be any enemies that we have to face off with if we just go this way. So if we follow along this path, I do advise that you just do the same thing, because there will be an enemy that's going to eat up many of your whole cells. So don't even bother yourself with it. And while we're here, I can show you guys something fun. So we have the tap dance gesture, as I mentioned earlier. So before these enemies aggro, as long as you dance by them, they will not hurt you. So if they begin an attack or commence an attack, they will actually hurt you and they won't stop. But if you go ahead and, like, see, he's trying to aggro there, but he's like, oh, he's dancing, so I can dance too. So essentially, if they've begun an attack, like that little running attack they do, you're in trouble. But if not, you can just do this to them. Pretty fun in my opinion. Little cute little trick there. We're going to keep the tap dance gesture because that's not the only use for it, but that is one of the secret uses for that gesture. As I mentioned, the parade master did not appear. We have this enemy off in the distance. Always prioritize the ranged enemies first. We're going to use a fully charged puppet string attack, finish him off, take out the enemy to our immediate left here. And then we have this bro here. They usually do 2 sweeps, but she's just doing the single one. That's why it's throwing me off every single time. And then we have 2 pathways to pick from, technically 3. We have this one up here, straight ahead, and then we have to the right. Normally, I would, of course, go this way to the left, but we're not going to do that because there is quite a bit of items and things we'd miss if we did go that route. So instead, we're going to go this way, take out these made puppet variants. Remember, the puppet string is just a phenomenal way to kind of get the drop on enemies like this. We can grab this item from the bench, and then we have yet another game that we can play and partake in. This is going to be the most challenging, though, of the entire carnival. So we do have the carnival coin that it's requesting. So there you go. Thank you, thank you. Now we're going to be allowed entrance and granted passage inside. There aren't anything or any items in these boxes, so don't worry about it. I just want you to know. But if you do proceed forward, this door is going to open, and one of the puppets from the wine cellar kind of area that was fighting the carcasses in the base game, they are going to be here, and they're quite difficult. So you definitely want to be prepared for this encounter as best you can. Go ahead and pop this. Get close. As soon as you can lock on, go ahead and do your charged R2s and get going. If he does that overheat attack, just sprint away. It's nasty, nasty little thing he does. Go ahead and use the second one because they don't last long, unfortunately. Fable art here. Charged R2 every chance we get. That's a new attack. He loves doing that one, by the way, if you get too much range. But if he crosses his arms over, he is going to do a nasty little maneuver that breathes fire in your face, and that's really, really not fun to be on the receiving end of. We're going to go ahead and do the fatal attack here. Going with the charged R2. That's okay. We're going to go ahead and heal. Fable art. Charged R2, R1, R1, charged R2, it's okay. Be prepared for the fire attack again. Perfect guard. Swing like crazy, just to give him a false sense of comfort. No, I'm just joking. Just sprint away. There you go, heal. He's loving just the spam here. Charged R2, charged R2, fatal attack, and he's done. Well, as I said, if we only had the 5 heals to begin with, we would have been in trouble, right? The guy's quite a jerk. He is quite the jerk indeed. So now the doors open back up. We're no longer trapped in with this fool. And we can proceed forward into the mouth of the clown. That's the way forward anyways. But yeah, very difficult encounter in my opinion. But having those perfection grindstones is really good. Our reward for that is an increased defensive part. So you can actually go into your parts here. And we just picked up a new converter. All the converters in the DLC are going to be quite heavy, but they're also going to give you like balance, equal balance of all kinds of resistances. So you can see here that the one that I have on the right is the LADA large capacity radiation converter. That's really good for fire, but everything else is kind of low. Well, here the Workshop Union Auto Adaptive has equal resistances from fire, electric, blitz, and acid. So you do want to equip those. As I mentioned earlier, they're quite heavy. So as we continue to kind of obtain the new variants of these defensive parts, which is going to be a new cartridge and a new liner, you are going to potentially want to invest in some capacity because you're going to get a little heavy. But anyway, so that's the extent of the difficult part of that encounter. Just note that you can still get jacked up in some areas, so just be careful and be mindful. But if you want to go back and heal, and all you have to do is take out a handful of these maid puppets, you can certainly do that. We're going to go ahead and press forward though, and in hopes that we don't have to deal with that. So you could technically go left and kind of end off the area, but we don't want to do that. And so we're going to go this way. And you'll note that this particular area, this little vendor here is actually shut down. So any one of these carts you can actually take up. But before we do that, I kind of want to show you guys around the grounds here. This is actually nothing, but I just want to show you because sometimes, you know, I would like to see like, I take your word for it, but trust but verify. It's actually just, you know, kind of a boundary they need for this bridge we're going to be taking. So there's no other use for it. So we're going to be going back around this way. And as we make our way down, we're going to see some little friends. These little jerkwads. Charged R2. Puppet string. Charged R2. And an R1 to finish them off. And then we get a dim ergo chunk. And if you're in New Game Plus, there's going to be a chest here that gives you a +1 version of the Winter Amulet. So I just wanted to show you guys that because there will be certain areas and items that if you're on a New Game Plus file, you can get different things. So be sure to check all the nooks and crannies because New Game Plus is of course slightly different in terms of the +1 amulets you can obtain. Any one of these carts is fine, so just take them. And once we get to the top, Gemini will kind of state the obvious as he does. And he'll say how pretty it is. And he's not wrong, it's quite a beautiful area. We're going to be grabbing that item down there too. There's an item right where my head's at. We're in the midst of battle, so we didn't grab that item, but any one of like the 4 or 5 carts that are available to jump in that are open, you can just jump in and take a ride. But we are going to go and grab that item. Once we drop down here, there will be an area that we can go ahead and you can roll on or just walk right off. Now be very careful because if you just rush along because you're seeing, oh my gosh, I have an enemy's back, remember that this is a Souls-like. There's no freebies, right? You can see a chest off in the corner. We're going to be grabbing that as well. But you may see this enemy just right here hanging on the bridge. What we can do is do a charged R2, knock him right off, and he's no longer a threat. We can use our puppet string to bring this enemy in so we can take these out before we get charged. Puppet string as well, charged R2, R1, puppet string, or just get hit. In either case, if you do start getting hit, you can just mash the guard button and you'll end up doing a perfect guard and staggering them, so no worries. So we can grab this item. This is the Zoo Tram Station key. This is the way out. Without this key, you can't press forward. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to drop across. There are no other items on top of here, so we can just drop down safely. But when I say safely, don't drop down blindly. These horses will deal damage to you, so what you want to do is drop down when it's kind of safe. And then move off to the side. There's going to be 2 enemies here. One here and one here, but they are on either side. So what we want to do is rush them as soon as we can. That was not the way to do it, of course. That's okay though. Terribly executed. But you can either, if you're using Icarus, you can use that to clear the distance, or you can of course use puppet string to kind of get a little bit closer. This right here will get in the way, so you cannot just puppet string over to them. You'll be kind of interrupted, if you will. Right, once it's free, we'll grab this. Half Moonstone. R1 spam, finish them off. And then we can grab this chest. This chest is going to give us the first quest item for Rosara. Remember, Rosara was the sweet little puppet that has the rose shoes. So we're going to be making great use of these shoes and completing her quest before long. And then we can drop down here. We're going to make a left. And we're going to use this puppet string here to pull him in, do some damage. And then we can grab this item. Before we forget, before we participate with this little mini game, we're going to come back over here. Remember that I said there was an item we missed? There's this item right here by the bench. It's just a saw blade. More throwables you can use. They're actually quite effective. But this is another knockdown game. You can use and play any of these games here. So this one, they give you sawtooth wheels. Not a bad thing. But you know what? We don't have to waste our resources. We can just be smart and use infinite ammo. So if we just were good at aiming. I'm just kidding. There you go. And then we got that buddy. And now that we've taken that, all these clowns down and stuff, we can get this miraculous recovery ampule. Those are fantastic for regenerating all your attribute, you know, pretty much your health, your stamina, fable, everything. Does your homework for you. It's a wonderful item. All right. And now what we can do is we're going to work our way around, clear out the rest of this area, and then we're going to drop down here to finish it off. Here we go with a charged R2, R1 spam. I get a little crazy with the R1 spam, as you know. You guys know how I am. We're going to do a full puppet string attack here because I'm just crazy like that. And we get the last carnival coin. This carnival coin will be used for the final mini game. And then aside from that, there aren't any additional items, so we're going to be dropping down. And you can see the wandering merchant to our right, but we want to go left first and grab this item up here. And just another throwable, the sharp pipe. So if you recall, we did grab the rose or the tea rose set or the rose tea set, whatever the hell it's called. And what we're going to be doing is speaking with this merchant here, and we're going to be giving him and selling him that tea set. Remember that there is no other use for it, so even if you're a hoarder and collector like myself, it's okay to give them this quest item so that you can actually open up his inventory and dialogue options for future encounters. So you do want to go ahead and get rid of those items. He gives you a pretty penny for them too, usually enough to level, so it's actually pretty good. So don't worry about it. Trust me, I am quite the collector and hoarder of all things, so it's okay. Don't worry about it. So essentially, he's saying, what's a stalker doing out here? So we're going to go ahead and go to sell, and you'll see the royal flower tea set, not the the rose tea set. I'm thinking rose because everything in this game kind of has with the DLC expansion has like a rose kind of motif to it, and there's a reason for that. But anyways, the royal flower tea set can only be sold. That's the sole purpose, as it says in the flavor text. So don't worry about it. Go ahead and give it to him, and you're going to get 13,000 ergo for it. I call it ergo because Sophia calls it ergo, so sometimes I call it ergo. It's okay though. And now when we open up his inventory, we're going to see a really interesting set of items here. First off, you're going to have all of his different ampules for sale, and we're going to have two things that I really like. We have the black rabbit hole key, which we're going to need for that door that I showed you in the very beginning, and the survival amulet, which is a new amulet. So you want to pick up both of those items. Once we've done that, he's just going to tell us a little bit about the black rabbit hole key. And that, hey, they don't sell too well because no one's crazy enough to go into their respective kind of hideouts. And I don't blame them. So this would be the entrance or the exit using the zoo tram station key. But we're going to be going here first so we can close off the carnival area. So I was terrified when I first came in here, but don't worry, there's actually nothing that can happen to you or harm you, okay? Trust me. I would never lie to you guys. And essentially you see the cue or the prompt for this, demonstrate your dance moves. Oh, okay. So if I dance, what would happen? If you dance, you get an item and then a gesture called cheer. So pretty cool stuff there. The second use for it is you can actually insert your carnival coin and you get another item. So there you go. That's how you get everything possible in this particular area. The full moonstone of the covenant. It's going to be fantastic for special weapons, of course. And then we can open up this area here. This is going to open the shortcut that's leading us back to the little crazy dancing puppets. And where we learned the dance gesture to begin with right there. So we're going to take out all these enemies. I almost said these idiots. That was mean. It's not very nice. And now that we've done that, we can circle back over here. Did not mean to do that. There you go. I did not mean to hold on to that, but no worries. It's not a big deal. And now we can circle right back over to the Black Rabbit kind of hideout. The rabbit hole, as they call it. An interesting thing about all of the gear that you get, all of the secrets you get, and all of the hideouts, essentially you get the outfits for each of the 4 members of the Black Rabbit Brotherhood. So when you open it here, we're going to go ahead and grab the item. This is the Eccentrics mask and the hunting apparel. So what you want to do is immediately upon getting it, go to your costumes and then equip the new armor. And once you equip it, not only do you get sometimes quest items, but you get lore as well. So we got the second Black Rabbit hole key, and we also obtained a little bit of a lore item, so we can go to our collectibles. No, that's clearly not the collectibles. And we got the Black Rabbit hole key, and then we also got this right here, which is a note. And they just keep going back and forth about the eccentric brother losing his keys. And so you're kind of going to see a little story and follow along what's been going on with his goofy self here. Aside from that, what we want to do is got to change how awesome we look. So the gear and the outfits and the costumes in this DLC are fantastic. And this is definitely an outfit that does not disappoint at all, especially if you're using the Azure Dragon Crescent Glaive. It just looks so good. So we got the second key, which that's what it's informing us of right now. And then we can go ahead and return to the Zootram station area through this little shortcut. And we'll proceed forward. There's going to be an interesting encounter with an NPC when we make our way across. Here we go. Say goodbye to the Wandering Merchant. We will see him later. We're going to use the Zootram station key to press forward. We'll hear Gemini say something obvious.
Person's poster. You saw it too, right? The name reads Romeo. Romeo, the legendary stalker's apprentice.
So we know that
We're back in the past.
Romeo is the one that the legendary stalker is seeking out.
Stay strong and carry on.
Alright, so we're going to now head up this way. We're going to pay homage to all the Souls games. Finger, butt, hole, or tongue, butt, hole. And then we're going to run this way. All my Souls bros know about that one. And then from here, you're going to hear someone saying, hey, is somebody there? Somebody there? And yes, we are going to be interacting with her. But aside from that, it's just a kind of an open area with just one item we can grab.
Hello? Is someone there?
Don't worry about her. She's kind of mean anyways. She can be mean. But before we go ahead and level and do all that, we're going to come over here and grab this item. This is the only item that we can kind of hold for ourselves. There's a second item we're going to interact with for her little quest. Her quest line doesn't take too long. We'll be getting to the next section and part of her quest before long. So what we're going to do here is we are going to go ahead and level up, advance a little bit further. Eventually we're going to bump up our capacity as well. So, You know, it wouldn't ever hurt to have a little bit more vigor either, so for additional attacks, but I think we're okay. We're going to bump the advance to 35 and then maybe this to 20, capacity to 30. We want to make sure we're comfortable, so.
Is someone there?
So one other thing that we can do, because we're just right around the corner, is we need to go to the Carnival Garden now that we've tagged this waypoint. And we could have nabbed it right on the way out after the Black Rabbit Brotherhood, but we'll go ahead and do it now, just before we forget more than anything. And we're going to go ahead and return Rosara's shoes. She's going to be really thankful, and it's really funny because I unequipped the gesture, but you can actually re-equip the dance gesture and we can get a unique interaction out of her. So let's chat with her first and return her shoes.
I need my shoes to be free. Oh.
So we're going to go ahead and give her her shoes. She's going to put them on and she just takes them for a little spin, of course.
Now I can run. I can dance. You gave me back my freedom. No
She's going to
matter
give
what
us a few items here.
I'll remember you. I'll go to the Rose Estate now. With
So she gives us a piece of a drawing. That's 1 out of 4 pieces. And an album called Lisram. If you look at the flavor text, it kind of describes her situation a little bit better and gives you a little bit more insight in her lore. But if we use the dance gesture, she's going to dance right along with us. She's quite a little sweetheart.
you like to dance too. Dance with Rosara.
See, she's super sweet.
No matter where I end, I'll go to the Rose Estate.
Now she's saying she's going to go to the Rose Estate. So we say, okay, great. Have a good time. Be safe. And we see her off on her way. What we're going to be doing is now traveling to the Zoo Tram station. And if you just so that you know, there is an indicator to go back to the present timeline. We're going to wait for a bit because you can go back to the Barren Swamp, go to the puppet that was learning all the gestures, and some of these new gestures that we learn, we can go ahead and teach him these new ones, and he'll give us items based on the new gestures and emotions that we're teaching him. So there's actually several instances we can return. So we're going to try and knock it out all at once, though. It's honestly just a matter of preference. You can do it one at a time or anything like that. It's not a problem. He will certainly appreciate it.
Is someone there?
All right. Let me go ahead and remove this gesture before I accidentally use it. So we'll go ahead and chat with her. Remember that, as with most humans, just like in real life, we like to be lied to, right? So let's take that in mind.
There. Can you help an old-
She needs help, and she says, hey, please pick up this kind of canvas for this easel. And she's going to ask us and say, hey, isn't this painting that I made incredibly beautiful, even though it's just a blank canvas? We're going to lie to her and say, yes, of course, absolutely, it's beautiful. If you tell her the truth, she will just get angry with you, and her questline does not continue, and you miss out on it, so don't do that. And because otherwise you have to replay on a New Game Plus cycle to complete her quest.
Even though I can't see, it is very
So the
precious to me.
actual canvas itself is blank.
I'm sure you would love to hear my story.
You can say, listen.
Unfortunately, stumbling in the dark. What do you think? What do you see when you look at my painting?
So when she asks us what we see, we can say, oh my gosh, it's incredible, it's a brilliant work of art. Do not tell her just a blank canvas.
You know, however,
So now we also get a little bit of humanity from that decision. And she essentially just stated that she was experimenting as an alchemist and she blinded herself, essentially. We're actually going to find something that's pertinent to her quest line in the next major area we're going to be completing. But first we need to go ahead and return to, or take the tram. This is going to lead us to Hotel Krot before it was Hotel Krot. It's called the Eventide Hotel at this point in time. Interesting thing about that particular sequence we're looking at right now is the enemies are live, so if you left any of them unharmed, you can see them moving around, doing their little patrol routes. It's really interesting. But anyways, we're going to be heading to the Hotel Krot before Hotel Krot, and it's called the Eventide Hotel. And as we approach, you might notice a familiar face. Look at that. That, of course, is Spring, the younger version of the kitty cat that is in the lobby of Hotel Krot. You can actually follow the cat. It's quite fast, though. But you see that it goes down here in this little area right here. It broke through the vent, went down, and you can hear it meowing. Really funny. We're not going to be going that route because obviously we are just a little bit too large, so we're going to be taking the lift instead. And yes, this outfit is awesome. We're going to be trying out all of the different outfits and showing them off as we obtain new ones in the DLC and the walkthrough, of course, just like we did during the base game. It was so nice to wear each of the items because typically I'm a very simple man. I don't change them much. I see one that I like. If there's red and there's black on it, it's my favorite.
Hotel Crot. I know, I still can't believe it myself.
There's Gemini just being annoying.
This must be before.
This is where the cat jumped out of, just so you know, so she's safe. And it is a she, canonically. So don't fight me on that in the comments. If you look out over here, this is actually the training ground with the puppets that you can face off with, test out your new abilities, your new weapons, things like that. And we're going to be coming through the area where the Nini's little area is usually at. So here you can change your Legion arm if you want. You can upgrade your appearance and your P organ here. This chest is actually a way to upgrade P organ skills. In particular, it's called the upgrade core. You do need to do this in order to get an achievement that is needed for the 100% for all of the possible trophies you can net. So you'd go in here and you'd use the activate P organ, and then you can now go to this little menu here, and it gives you step-by-step kind of instructions on how to do that. And then you can go to R2 and upgrade the P organ. So some of the effects are enhanced, and in other instances they're not necessarily eligible, so that you would then you just get other perks for it. It does require quartz in order to upgrade, so just keep that in mind. It's really good for subsequent playthroughs. But we don't have any extra quartz to spare, so we're not going to worry about that. This is the courtyard that we're used to training at. It's just obviously beforehand there's a snow kind of theme to it, and of course that statue's covered up. And then this is where Eugenie would be. You can activate or interact with any of these, and you can actually upgrade your weapons, all the stuff you can normally do even though Eugenie's not here. But the one thing that we do want to do before anything else is repair the broken grindstones. In the zoo section of this guide, we picked up a piercing and cutting grindstone, but both were broken. So all you have to do is actually go ahead and select repair. And as you repair each of them, you get a brand new grindstone. So it doesn't cost any materials or anything like that. You don't have to choose between one or the other. You did pick up two broken variants of it, and now we've just repaired them. So now if you do like either slash or piercing weapons, you have the ability to max them out. There's nothing over here just yet, and there won't be actually, so spring isn't set up there or anything like that. Nothing at all. Nothing at all. So aside from that, we have the Stargazer before the original or the new Stargazer that we see, and we have a handful of new NPCs all strewn about this area. It's a really short cutscene, so it was just an introduction to the lobby itself. This will be our hub that we kind of stop at and begin each of our adventures, and then we're kind of going to start going in like in a clockwise fashion to grab all these items. The crumpled letter gives us a little bit of insight on the relationship between Antonia, Geppetto, and how he was reacting after his loss. We have this cute little, cute little kitty here. You're going to see her kind of posted up all throughout. We have Lumacchio. Lumacchio is a new NPC. Polandina obviously is not back behind the desk yet. So we can chat with him. We get an item from him, the grindstone coating capsule. We can then ask about the red-haired stalker, which is of course a legendary stalker. And then we say, oh, well, we're just wanting to help her.
Help her? Yeah, simply perhaps there's a reason. Perhaps you've heard the tale, but he was no...
And essentially, he then reveals that she is the one that took down the Bloody Artist. The Bloody Artist, of course, being a very familiar villain from the base game. We can then choose to talk about something else.
Oh, he could be the reason.
Ask about Romeo, and then what year it is, and he just gets a funny, like, what are you talking about? How do you not know the year? Crazy guy. So anyways, that's Lumacchio. As you can tell, Lumacchio was kind of like the snail guy, and you can see that his mask is indeed a snail. It's a very eloquent one. So really interesting little detail there. Anyways, so from here, we have a handful of other areas we can go. We're going to go this way first. This is the gramophone or the little music player. You can use it at any point in time. Remember that you do need to listen to all of the records, including the golden records you can get only on New Game Plus, so that you can actually get one of the final achievements. Here we have a second letter. This one has also not been delivered. Back and forth communication between Lady Antonia and Geppetto. And then we have a new NPC here that's going to be using those ancient discs that we obtained in the greenhouse. And he can also trade us weapons for rare ergo, like boss ergo or ergo, as I say. I'm going to call it ergo from now on, okay?
But indeed, you're lucky.
Alright, so he introduces himself. He was actually saved by the legendary stalker. And his back hurts now. He actually injured his back in that process. So the legendary stalker was a little bit rough on his back. But anyways, you can go ahead and chat with him. What does he do? He's like, oh, he just collects the ancient discs. He was going to show them off, but he's lost them. He's also lost some of his bags that has merchandise in them. The merchandise that, of course, is going to expand his inventory. We can ask her about the stalker. He's talking about his back.
We can't. I've heard he's butting. I'm so. Let's see.
He has no clue how to answer that question, and then we can ask him about the Rose Estate. That's where he was heading anyways. And so we can ask for something else, and then we can look at his inventory. So in the trading the rare ergo, if you haven't already, obviously if you've been following along, you would have already defeated Marchiona. Marchiona will give you the Macabre Puppeteer's ergo, or ergo, as I stated that I was going to call it from now on. And from here, what you can do is you can trade it in. You will need to trade in the new boss ergo for the weapons. If you trade it in for the amulets, you will miss out on the trophy. So make sure that on your first playthrough of the DLC, you're trading it in for the weapons you can obtain. So we're going to do that here. We're going to go ahead and obtain the Death Talons. This is going to be a technique scaling set of weapons here. Wolverine type claws, if you will. And you will get a secondary weapon as well from another boss much later in the DLC. And if you trade in that weapon, you will obtain all of the boss weapons. It won't be all of the DLC weapons yet, but you'll certainly get all the boss weapons that are needed for the trophy. If you trade it in for the new amulets, you will not get the trophy. So do not trade it for the amulets. On your first playthrough, do the weapons first. Alright. When we trade the ancient discs, these are essentially only used for the purpose of trading with Klaus. There is no other use for them or no other purpose, so don't feel bad about using them. So what you can do here, I love going for the cosmetic items because those are just, in my opinion, the most important. You gotta look good, because if you look good, you feel good. And if you feel good, you play good. So here we have 2 ancient discs. We're gonna have enough to purchase not only all of the cosmetic items that are available throughout his inventory expansions, but also a handful of extra things like some quartz, and you can even purchase Legion calibers or Resplendent ergo or ergo. So here we're going to go ahead and purchase the bell collar, and we're going to purchase the Great Adventure mask. Alright, so he's happy, we're all happy, everybody's happy. We got some new swag, so we got to wear it, right? We're going to be wearing a little bit of everything so we can test everything out. This will be our next destination. This will take us to the next area we need to go to. And then for now, we're going to be circling back around and we're going to be heading upstairs. We'll come downstairs in just a moment. I do want to get you acquainted with the new layout of the hotel. You cannot go through here. So you only have one option, and that of course is going to lead us towards the gold coin tree. Of course, Giangio is not here. So we can grab this item here. It gives you instructions on well, this particular letter is actually an interesting letter. We'll have to go over that in the lore video, of course, but this is where you would then trade in for the star fragments and wish stones in Giangio's absence. And then if you come down here, we see the gold coin tree where you can respec. We have this gated off area that we will be interacting with much later on. We have a empty pot that we'll be dealing with as well. And then we have this area right here, which is the second of the Black Rabbit hole hideout, of Black Rabbit Brotherhood hideouts. This is the second of 4. So here, if we jump in, you're going to see that they've been eating good, drinking good. And we can go ahead and check out their chest. This is going to net us the next outfit for the next member. And here we get the youngest masks and the youngest hunting apparel. So as I said earlier, always go right into their items, equip it, and then you can get a new lore item or even sometimes keys. So now we can wear this. We're going to unequip this because obviously you can't be seen underneath everything. So this is the youngest apparel that we're wearing right now. And then we did get the lore item collectible right here, which is the second letter. And here they just kind of go back and forth with a few things. Little brother lost the key again. Scold him, big brother. So they're just silly like that. They're going back and forth about the lost keys. So we're going to press forward. And we're going to head back downstairs. And we're going to use that bell collar that we purchased. Remember, the ancient discs serve only one purpose. And they can only be traded with Klaus. So every time you get one, it's never a bad thing to trade for a cosmetic item or even a quartz if you need it. So we're going to go find Spring, which is over here. Inspect. And we're going to put the bell collar on the kitten. And so now Spring has her little bell collar there. Nice and easy, right? A small kitten, she has taken a shine to the bell collar. And if you want some additional love, all you have to do is take a seat. And when you sit down here, Spring will actually come up and approach you. And you can pet her. I love it. Absolutely love it. So there you go. We've done everything we can do in the past version of the Hotel Krot, which is called the Eventide Hotel. And what we can do is, now that we're here, we might as well just go ahead and speak with our little friend from the past. And that reminds me of another thing. I don't know why I didn't interact with that previously, but it's fine. We're going to go to this area here, the Barren Swamp, and we're going to show our little friend the next gesture. Remember that when we used the tap dance gesture at the carnival, we obtained a cheer gesture in response as a reward. So here we're going to be using cheer. Let's go ahead and equip it. Go to gesture and then cheers, this one right here. So we can go chat with him. You don't even need it in your slot, just so you know. If you've obtained it, you can just speak with him and it'll prompt you. So we're going to teach him how to cheer. And it's same response we get from some of the other happy ones, but he gives us some ergo, which is fantastic. And then we'll bid him adieu and goodbye. And we're going to return to the past. And we're going to go to Eventide Hotel Krot. It's funny when you're doing these guides so late. Sometimes you just forget things. But honestly, I haven't forgotten anything yet. But I almost did. So remember that one time I told you that, hey, we're going to interact with this pot here at some point. We already had the quest item necessary to do that. So in the previous stream, when we were at the zoo, we used Toma's whistle to scare the birds away, and they dropped a golden seed. Well, if we go to this area here, we can jump into this flower garden, and we can place the seed inside the pot. So we're going to plant the golden seed in the pot.
We planted the seed, but I wonder.
Gemini says some obvious stuff. And all we're going to do is just continue through the rest of the dialogue.
It could be a long time before it sprouts.
And it won't be until after we complete the DLC where we can do anything about this golden seed. So now we just know that the seed has been planted. There's nothing further to do there except wait and complete the DLC. Once we complete the DLC, obviously something is going to happen with that seed. And I bet you can only imagine what, right? It's probably going to sprout. as plants do. But yeah, that was the final thing we need to do in Hotel Krat, or the Eventide Hotel. We can now rest if you haven't already, level up, do all that good stuff, and we're going to prepare for the next area. And this next area we want to do is we're going to be using the Salamander Dagger because there's tons of carcasses here. So we'll be using that version of the weapon. And guys, I want to say thank you all so much. It's going to bring part 3 to an end. Be sure to like and subscribe if this guy is helping you out. It does help me out as well. Lets me know you want more content like this, and it really motivates me to continue doing these awesome guides for you guys. It's so much fun, honestly. So I just want to say thank you all so much for choosing my guide when you could have picked any of them out there. Honestly, this is going to be the most comprehensive guide that's going to show you every single secret. It's not a rush job. We're going to be going through and showing you everything possible. So I hope you guys enjoy. I'll catch you in the next one. We'll be taking on the underground facility where there are tons of carcasses. So thank you all so much for being the best part of my channel. And until next time, it's Inhuman signing out.